In a bustling city, there lived a young woman filled with endless opportunities named Sarah. She was 23 years old and had dreams bigger than the skyscrapers around her. Sarah wanted to become a successful entrepreneur. She had brilliant ideas, endless creativity, and all the resources she needed to make her dreams come true. But Sarah had one enormous problem that was slowly destroying her future. She couldn't stop wasting time. Every morning, Sarah would wake up with grand plans. She would tell herself that today would be different. Today, she would finally start working on her business plan. Today, she would take the first step toward her dreams. But as the hours passed, Sarah found herself scrolling through social media, watching random videos and convincing herself that she had plenty of time to start tomorrow. Sarah's favorite phrase was, "I'll do it later." When her alarm rang at 6 in the morning, she would hit snooze and say, "I'll wake up in 10 more minutes." When it was time to research her business idea, she would open her laptop and say, "I'll start after I check my messages." When her friends asked about her progress, she would smile confidently and say, "I'm working on it. I'll have." The truth was that Sarah had been saying these same everything ready soon entire years her words for 3 years. 3 days passed since she first brilliant business idea. 3 years of perfect had her opportunities had for the right moment to begin. One devastating news that would change her slipped through her fingers while she waited evening. Sarah received life forever. Her grandfather, the man who had always believed in her dreams, had fallen seriously ill. The doctors said he might not have much time left. Sarah rushed to the hospital, her heart pounding with fear and regret. When she arrived at his bedside, her grandfather looked at her with tired but loving eyes. His voice was weak, but his words cut through Sarah's soul like a sharp knife. He said, "My dear Sarah, I have been waiting to see your business succeed. I have been waiting to see you become the amazing woman I know you can be. But I'm running out of time to wait." Sarah felt her world collapse around her. All those years of saying later suddenly felt like stolen moments she could never get back. She realized that while she had been waiting for the perfect time to start, time itself had been slipping away from everyone around her. That night, Sarah sat alone in her apartment, staring at her reflection in the dark window. She made a promise to herself and to her grandfather. She would never waste another day. She would learn to value every single hour, every single minute, and every single second that life gave her. But making that promise was easier than keeping it. The next morning, Sarah woke up with determination, but by noon, she found herself falling back into her old patterns. She realized that breaking years of procrastination habits would require more than just willpower. She needed help. Sarah remembered hearing about a time management coach named Dr. Martinez, who had helped many people overcome their procrastination problems. Dr. Martinez had a reputation for being tough but effective. People said she could transform the most hopeless time wasters into productivity champions. Sarah gathered her courage and called Dr. Martinez's office. When they met the following week, Dr. Martinez looked at Sarah with sharp, understanding eyes. She said, "Sarah, before I can help you, I need you to understand something important. Time is not just minutes and hours on a clock. Time is your life itself. Every moment you waste is a piece of your life you're throwing away forever." Dr. Martinez continued, "Most people think they have unlimited time. They live as if tomorrow is guaranteed, but let me tell you a secret that successful people know. Time is the only resource you can never earn back, never buy, once it's gone. More of and never replace." To help Sarah understand this lesson deeply, Dr. Martinez gave her a unique assignment. She handed Sarah a jar filled with exactly 1,000 marbles. Each marble represented 1 week of an average human life. Dr. Martinez said, "Sarah, you are 23 years old. That means you have already used about 1,200 marbles. Remove that many from the jar." Sarah counted out 1,200 marbles and placed them in a separate container. When she looked at what remained in the original jar, she felt a chill run down her spine. The jar that had seemed so full before now looked much smaller. The remaining marbles suddenly seemed precious and finite. Dr. Martinez explained, "Those remaining marbles represent all the weeks you have left. every Sunday night you will remove one marble from this jar. When you do this, really think about how you spent that week. Did you use it to build your dreams, or did you waste it on meaningless activities? Sarah took the jar home and placed it on her desk where she would see it every day. That first Sunday night, as she removed one marble, she felt the weight of the week that had just passed. She had spent most of it procrastinating, just like always. But now, holding that marble in her hand, she understood that this week was gone forever. She would never get another chance to live those 7 days. The marble exercise began to change something deep inside Sarah's mind. Every time she felt tempted to waste time, she would look at the jar and remember that each moment was actually a piece of her finite life. She began to see procrastination not as a harmless habit, but as a thief that was stealing her most valuable possession. Dr. Martinez taught Sarah 3 powerful principles that would transform her relationship with time. The first principle was called the reality check. Every morning, Sarah would look in the mirror and remind herself that this day would never come again. She would say, "This is Monday, December 4th, and I will never get another Monday, December 4th in my entire life. How do I want to spend this irreplaceable day?" The second principle was the deathbed test. Whenever Sarah felt tempted to procrastinate, she would imagine herself as an old woman lying on her deathbed. She would ask herself, "When I'm dying, will I regret spending this hour scrolling through my phone? Or will I regret not working on my dreams?" This question always made the right choice obvious. The third principle was the compound effect of time. Dr. Martinez explained that just as money grows through compound interest, small actions performed consistently over time create enormous results. Sarah learned that spending just 1 hour each day working on her business would add up to 365 hours per year. That was more than 9 full work weeks dedicated to building her future. Armed with these new principles and her jar of marbles, Sarah began to transform her daily habits. Instead of hitting the snooze button, she would jump herself that this out of bed and remind morning would never come again. Instead of checking social media first thing, she would spend the first hour of each day working on her business plan. The changes were not easy at first. Sarah's brain had been trained for years to seek instant gratification and avoid difficult tasks. But every time she felt the urge to procrastinate, she would look at her jar of marbles and remember that time was not unlimited. She would think about her grandfather and the promise she had made to him. Week by week, marble by marble, Sarah began to see real progress in her life. Her business plan started taking shape. Her ideas became concrete actions. Her dreams began to feel achievable rather than impossible. After 3 months of following Dr. Martinez's system, Sarah experienced her first major breakthrough. A local investor had agreed to meet with her after seeing her detailed business proposal. Sarah realized that without her new relationship with time, this opportunity would never have existed. She would still be telling herself, "I'll start tomorrow," while watching her dreams fade away. But the real test came when Sarah faced her biggest challenge yet. The investor wanted to see a working prototype of her product within 6 weeks. The old Sarah would have panicked and made excuses. She would have said it was impossible and asked for more time. Instead, Sarah looked at her jar of marbles and made a different choice. She calculated exactly how many hours she had available over the next 6 weeks. She broke down her prototype into smaller tasks and assigned each task to specific days. Every morning, she would remind herself that this day was a gift she could never receive again. Every evening, she would remove a marble and reflect on whether she had honored the preciousness of those 24 hours. During those intense 6 weeks, Sarah discovered something amazing about herself. When she stopped treating time as if it were endless, she became incredibly focused and creative. Tasks that used to take her hours now took minutes. Problems that used to overwhelm her became manageable challenges. She was amazed by how much she could accomplish when she truly valued each moment. The night before her presentation to the investor, Sarah sat with her jar of marbles and reflected on her journey. 6 months ago, she had been a chronic procrastinator living in a fantasy that tomorrow would somehow be different from today. Now she had created something real, something valuable, something that proved her dreams were not just wishful thinking. But Sarah's transformation went beyond just building her business. She began to notice how differently she experienced everything in her life. Conversations with friends became more meaningful because she was fully present instead of thinking about what she would do later. Meals tasted better because she wasn't rushing through them while planning other activities. Even simple moments like watching a sunset became precious because she understood that she would never see this exact sunset again. Dr. Martinez had warned Sarah that her new relationship with time would change how she saw other people. Sarah began to feel frustrated when friends would complain about being bored or having nothing to do. She wanted to shake them and explain that boredom was impossible when you truly understood how valuable time was. She learned that most people sleepwalk through their lives, treating their days as if they were unlimited and replaceable. The presentation to the investor went better than Sarah had ever imagined. Not only did he agree to fund her business, but he also said he was impressed by her discipline and focus. He told her that most young entrepreneurs had great ideas, but lacked the commitment to execute them. Sarah knew that her ability to execute came directly from learning to value time. 6 months later, Sarah received a phone call that changed everything. Her grandfather's condition had improved, and the doctors said he was stable enough to receive visitors again. Sarah rushed to the hospital carrying a small gift in her hands. When she walked into his room, her grandfather's face lit up with joy. He looked stronger than the last time she had seen him, and his eyes sparkled with curiosity. Sarah sat beside his bed and placed her gift on his lap. It was her first product, the prototype that had secured her business funding. Her grandfather examined the product with wonder and pride. He looked at Sarah and said, "My dear granddaughter, you have become the woman I always knew you could be. But tell me, what changed? The last time we spoke, you were still waiting for the right moment to begin." Sarah smiled and pulled out her jar of marbles, which now contained significantly fewer marbles than when she had started. She explained to her grandfather how Dr. Martinez had taught her to see time as her most precious resource. She told him about the marble exercise and how it had transformed her understanding of life itself. Her grandfather listened intently, nodding with understanding. When Sarah finished her story, he reached over and took her hand. He said, "Sarah, you have learned one of life's most important lessons. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for someday. They wait for someday to start their dreams, someday to tell people they love them, someday to live the life they really want. But someday never comes because it doesn't exist. There is only today." As Sarah sat with her grandfather, she realized that her procrastination had almost cost her this moment. If she hadn't learned to value time, she might still be waiting to start her business. She might still be telling herself that she had plenty of time to visit him later. The thought of how close she had come to missing these precious moments filled her with gratitude for the painful lessons she had learned. That evening, as Sarah walked home through the city streets, she looked around at all the people hurrying past. She wondered how many of them were living in the illusion that time was unlimited. She wondered how many were postponing their dreams, their relationships, their happiness, believing they could always start tomorrow. Sarah made a decision that would define the rest of her life. She would not only continue valuing her own time, but she would also help others discover this life-changing truth. She began planning workshops and speaking engagements where she could share her story and teach people about the marble exercise. The response was overwhelming. People from all walks of life came to hear Sarah speak about time and procrastination. Many of them left her presentations with their own jars of marbles, ready to transform their relationship with time. Sarah realized that her struggle with procrastination had not been a weakness, but a preparation for helping others overcome the same challenge. As her business grew and her message spread, Sarah never forgot the lesson that had started it all. Every Sunday night, she continued to remove a marble from her jar. Every morning she continued to remind herself that this day was irreplaceable. Every moment she continued to choose action over delay, presence over distraction, purpose over procrastination. Sarah's story teaches us that time is not just numbers on a clock, but pieces of our life itself. Like Sarah, many of us live as if tomorrow is guaranteed, postponing our dreams while precious moments slip away forever. But when we truly understand that each day is irreplaceable, procrastination becomes impossible. Start today, not tomorrow. Take one small action toward your dreams right now. Remember, someday never comes because it doesn't exist. There is only today, and today is all we really have.